What if your garden could feed you through drought, frost, and even economic chaos, without replanting every season? According to the USDA Resilience Farming Report 2023, perennial and self-storing crops can reduce food insecurity by 45% during supply disruptions. For millions of older Americans living on fixed incomes, growing survival crops means independence, not just from grocery prices, but from uncertainty. When the Great Depression hit, one Ohio family survived on three simple crops: potatoes, kale, and onions, grown behind their garage. Their story isn't just history, it's a roadmap. Today, as climate swings harder and costs climb higher, gardeners are rediscovering those same resilient foods. Plants that thrive on neglect, store themselves, and come back stronger every year. You don't need acres or expensive equipment, just wisdom, patience, and these 10 time-tested survivors. Let's meet the crops that can carry you through hard times and still feed your hope. Crop number 1, potatoes. When famine swept across Ireland in the 1840s, one crop failure changed the course of history, but it also revealed something timeless about survival. Resilience, it turns out, comes from diversity. Today's gardeners have learned that lesson well, growing dozens of potato varieties adapted to every kind of soil and climate. From russets in Idaho to red Norlands in the Midwest, this humble tuber continues to feed families when other crops falter. Research shows that potatoes efficiently store carbohydrates, potassium, and vitamin C underground for up to a full year. High-altitude and late-maturing varieties can withstand temperatures down to 28 degrees Fahrenheit, making them one of the few dependable staples during unpredictable weather. With minimal inputs, potatoes can yield up to 10 times their planting weight, offering unmatched food security per square foot. How to grow? Best in zones 3 to 10 with loose, loamy, well-drained soil. Hill soil around plants as they grow to prevent greening and boost yield. Cure harvested tubers for 1 to 2 weeks before storage to extend shelf life. In difficult times, few crops embody self-reliance like the potato. It asks for little, no fancy fertilizers, no constant care, yet it gives generously, nourishing body and spirit alike. The same plant that once saved families from hunger still offers quiet stability in a restless world. If the potato represents endurance through hardship, the next crop is its untamed cousin, wild, tenacious, and multiplying underground even when you forget it's there. Crop number 2, Jerusalem artichoke, sunchoke. Long before Europeans settled North America, native tribes cultivated a humble but extraordinary plant they called sunroot. It fed entire communities through droughts, harsh winters, and lean years. Centuries later, the Jerusalem artichoke, or sunchoke, remains one of nature's quiet miracles, hiding its treasure beneath the soil while bright yellow flowers reach toward the sky. Forgotten by supermarkets, but beloved by survival gardeners, it's a crop that rewards neglect with abundance. Sunchokes store inulin, a prebiotic fiber that supports gut health, regulates blood sugar, and boosts digestion. This makes them ideal for older adults managing glucose levels. Studies show that once planted, sunchoke tubers multiply indefinitely, producing reliable food from October through spring. Because they store safely underground, they don't require refrigeration or canning. Nature's own pantry system. How to grow? Best in zones 4 to 9 with full sun. Plant tubers 4 to 5 inches deep, 12 inches apart. Leave a few in the soil after harvest. They'll regrow on their own next season. Sunchokes are the gardener's safety net, thriving in poor soil, enduring drought, and storing themselves underground until needed. It's the perfect food for unpredictable times, dependable, delicious, and entirely self-renewing. Sunchokes feed quietly from the soil, but the next crop doesn't wait to be planted. It walks across your garden, claiming new ground all on its own. Crop number 3, Egyptian walking onions. Some plants grow in rows. Others, like the Egyptian walking onion, grow wherever they please. Each summer, these remarkable onions produce clusters of tiny bulbs at the tops of their stalks. As they grow heavier, the stems bend down, and those bulbs touch the ground, planting themselves for the next generation. They literally walk across your garden, multiplying as they go. Walking onions are a marvel of self-propagation. Through a process called apomixis, they clone themselves without seed or human help, thriving even in compacted or depleted soils. Their high sulfur content not only enhances immune function in humans, but also repels many common pests naturally, a dual advantage for health and garden maintenance alike. How to grow. Best in zones 3 to 9. Full sun preferred. Harvest green shoots in spring like scallions. Dig mature bulbs in late summer. Let some top sets fall naturally to ensure next year's crop. The walking onion is a quiet teacher of resilience, a plant that keeps growing, bending, and returning no matter how many times it falls. For gardeners facing unpredictable seasons or limited space, it's the ultimate symbol of endurance and renewal. If the onion walks on its own, the next survivor stands firm against wind, frost, and neglect, a green so strong it defies the seasons. Crop number 4, kale, perennial or winter varieties. During World War II, the British Ministry of Food called kale the victory crop. While other vegetables withered in bombed-out cities and frozen fields, kale kept growing. Families across Britain survived harsh winters on nothing more than its tough green leaves. Nourishing, reliable, and unshakable. 80 years later, kale still carries that same spirit of endurance, thriving where other crops fail. Modern studies show that perennial and winter-hardy kale varieties can produce 4 times longer than annual greens. Their deep roots fix nitrogen naturally, improving soil health for future crops. Nutritionally, kale remains unmatched, high in calcium, vitamin K, and antioxidants that support bone density and cardiovascular strength, particularly in adults over 55. How to grow. Best in zones 7 to 10. Partial to full sun. Harvest outer leaves regularly to encourage new growth. Mulch heavily during frost for continuous winter production. Propagate from cuttings rather than seed for stronger plants. Kale isn't just a superfood, it's a survivor. A symbol of quiet resilience, feeding families long after trendy vegetables disappear from store shelves. In every season, it stands green and proud, proving that strength can also be gentle. Kale stands fearless against the cold, but the next crop thrives under blazing heat, drought, and poor soil alike. Crop number 5, amaranth. Centuries ago, the Aztecs worshipped amaranth, a sacred plant they believed carried divine strength. When Spanish conquerors outlawed it, the grain nearly vanished. But like all true survivors, it returned. Today, scientists at NASA test amaranth for growing food in space. Proof that resilience never dies, it just waits to be rediscovered. Amaranth is one of the few plants that provides complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids, in both its leaves and seeds. Gluten-free and rich in iron, calcium, and magnesium, it's also drought-tolerant, thriving in temperatures over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Research shows it requires 50% less water than wheat or corn, making it a climate-proof crop for dry regions. How to grow. Zones 4 to 11. Full sun. Harvest young leaves for salad greens. Collect seeds once flower plumes dry. Self-seeds easily. A single planting can return for years. Amaranth is the grain of endurance, a symbol of strength disguised as beauty. Its ruby-red plumes sway like banners of survival, reminding gardeners that true resilience often comes from the forgotten. From sacred rituals to modern science, amaranth thrives in extremes, but the next crop is sweet, steady, and stores itself underground like nature's pantry. Crop number 6, sweet potatoes. For generations across the American South, families survived lean winters on stored sweet potatoes. Dug in the fall, cured in cellars, and baked in wood stoves, these golden roots became more than food. They were security. When supplies ran low, a basket of sweet potatoes meant comfort, warmth, and the taste of home. Cured sweet potatoes can last up to 12 months when stored at 55 degrees Fahrenheit with proper humidity. They're rich in beta-carotene and vitamin A, supporting immune health and protecting eyesight, especially vital for aging adults. Their vines also act as natural ground cover, suppressing weeds and reducing soil erosion. How to grow. Best in zones 8 to 11. Sandy, well-drained soil. Start from slips, root sprouts, rather than seeds. Cure harvested tubers for 10 days in warm, humid air before long-term storage. Sweet potatoes are the quiet powerhouses of any survival garden. Sweet yet strong, simple yet sustaining. They hold energy in every fiber, turning sunlight into comfort that lasts the year. Sweet potatoes store strength underground, but the next crop holds its power in seeds as small as glitter, ready to feed generations. Crop number 7, beans. When times are tough, beans have always been the food of endurance. From Great Depression soup kitchens to victory gardens of the 1940s, they've symbolized simplicity, cheap, filling, and quietly life-giving. Each seed is a promise. Nourishment today, security tomorrow. Beans are a cornerstone of sustainable gardening. They fix atmospheric nitrogen into the soil through their root nodules, enriching it naturally for other crops. Nutritionally, they're a powerhouse, high in plant-based protein, fiber, and essential minerals. Studies show regular bean consumption helps regulate cholesterol and blood sugar, making them ideal for older adults seeking balanced, heart-healthy meals. How to grow. Choose bush beans for compact spaces or pole beans for vertical trellises. Harvest mature pods and dry seeds for long-term storage. Rotate planting areas each season to maintain soil balance. Beans are the quiet heroes of every survival garden. Adaptable, generous, and self-renewing. Each handful you store is both a meal and next year's harvest, proof that abundance begins with a single seed. Beans feed the body, but the next crop feeds the soul, offering beauty and nourishment in every bloom. Crop number 8, daylilies. Centuries ago, Chinese emperors called daylilies golden needles, prized not just for their beauty, but for their flavor. Today, millions of American yards already hold this survival food, though few gardeners realize it. The same flowers that brighten your garden can also fill your plate. Daylily buds and tubers are rich in beta-carotene and fiber, rivaling sweet potatoes in nutrition. Their drought and flood tolerance make them perfect for unpredictable climates, and studies show they even thrive in urban soils where other edibles struggle. How to grow. Hardy in zones 4 to 10. Tolerate sun or shade. Divide clumps every 3 to 4 years to refresh growth. Harvest buds before bloom and roots in fall. In uncertain times, beauty becomes a form of resilience. Daylilies remind us that what nourishes the eyes can also feed the body. Strength and grace intertwined in one unbreakable plant. If flowers can sustain us, imagine what power lies in the roots that never die. Crop number 9, horseradish. Old farmers used to say, plant horseradish once, and it's yours forever. They weren't exaggerating. Even a fingernail-sized piece of root will sprout back next spring, stubborn, spicy, and strong. Horseradish roots can dive up to 8 feet deep, breaking through compacted soils and surviving drought or freezing temperatures. Its compound allyl isothiocyanate, the source of its fiery kick, is a natural antibacterial, once used in traditional medicine to clear sinuses and preserve food. How to grow. Best in zones 3 to 9. Full sun preferred. Contain in raised beds or barrels to prevent spreading. Harvest in fall. Leave small root fragments to regrow. Horseradish is persistence made edible, bold, healing, and nearly impossible to destroy. It's the flavor of endurance itself, proof that what burns can also strengthen. From roots that never quit to fruit that sweetens hardship, the next and final crop is a living symbol of patience and legacy. Crop number 10, apple trees. When Johnny Appleseed wandered the Midwest in the early 1800s, he wasn't planting for profit. He was planting for the future. Each sapling he left behind promised sweetness to generations he'd never meet. Every apple tree, still growing from his seed, is proof that hope can take root and live for a century. Properly maintained apple trees can live and bear fruit for 80 to 100 years. Modern disease-resistant rootstocks have cut maintenance needs by 60%, allowing home gardeners to enjoy consistent harvests with minimal care. Apples provide natural fiber, antioxidants, and polyphenol that support heart health and longevity. Key benefits for older adults who garden for wellness. How to grow. Best in zones 4 to 8, full sun. Choose semi-dwarf or dwarf varieties for smaller spaces. Prune annually for airflow and stronger yields. Store apples in cool, ventilated spaces for months of fresh fruit. An apple tree is more than a plant. It's a legacy. It offers shade, beauty, and nourishment across generations. To plant one is to believe in tomorrow, even when today feels uncertain. 10 crops. 10 living lessons in resilience. But what unites them all? And why do they endure when others fail? Science holds the answer.